to start us off? Patrick.
Coach, I said you were kind of sweating after the interview with Rodney Bennett. What were the emotions kind of you went through after that?
Well, you know, I likened it to being in your conference championship game, and your one game that you win that one basketball game, and you go to the NCAA tournament, which is obviously the ultimate goal. So, you know, that's what I likened it to. I was all the way to the championship game. The goal was just on the other side of that game, but you still had the toughest game you've had to play all year to go through to get it, and that's the way I likened it. That's the easiest analogy I can make.
Do you remember what you said or what your reaction was when you got that phone call?
Well, the first thing that I did was I didn't want to answer the call. I knew who it was, and I knew that it was going to be yes or no, and so I stared at it for a couple of rings, and this is the truth, Jeremy. I stared at it and I said, you know, I'm going to have to answer it. So I went ahead and answered it, and and just with literally bated breath did I until I found out when Jeremy was on the other line and he asked me would I be our basketball coach, and I'm not sure what I even get paid, Jeremy. I really don't. I may be working for free here because I was so excited about the opportunity that I immediately said yes, and I am. I'm excited about being here.
Jay, you know, a lot of people have been waiting for this, for you to coming in and take over Southern Miss basketball, so congratulations.
Thank you.
What have you learned about college basketball that you didn't know 5 years ago?
Well, certainly there's I don't know as much about college basketball as it is Division I. Division I, all day long, you spend your entire day making a bunch of small decisions that are going to make an impact on whether your group or team or player is going to be successful. And the amount of time, just this is a great example right here as compared to, say, the junior college level. That's the biggest difference. I was able to spend more time, and I hate to say this, but I was able to spend more time coaching basketball, which is what I would hope to be doing the most of. But at Division I, you have more of a responsibility of running an organization. So you have to be very conscious of that, and you have to be conscious of all the things that go into that, and you have to embrace it. Meaning there's so many different publics and things that we have to get started here, like we mentioned in there, Hardwood Club, and getting out to our support groups and starting to let's take this and pour gasoline basically on what we have today. The fire started. It's our responsibility, my responsibility, our group's responsibility to keep that fire burning.
Jeremy. Who's next?
Yeah, Coach, signing day yesterday. Do you have any idea or do you have a plan right now going forward? I mean, obviously you got to hit the ground running. Do you have kids in mind you want to go talk to, or are you approaching this as, you know, I'm not sure what I want to do yet?
No, absolutely no. This is we've got a plan, but now let's be honest with each other here. Signing day. Today's Wednesday. I've lost sight of day.
Yeah.
Signing day yesterday. Today. Yeah, so yesterday is obviously signing day. So a lot of the players are going to have gone on ahead and made their commitments for next year. However, there's a lot of players out there. The great thing about the fact that I've been able to coach so long is we have a lot of contacts. Our coaching staff that we're going to be bringing on board has a lot of contacts, and we didn't just wait till today in the plan of having a group. The first thing, though, however, we have to do is we have to have. You have to understand. 2 days ago, I'm coaching my team at Southeastern Louisiana. I was working. We were preparing our team for next year. And so, but now I need an opportunity to assess our players. It started last night with a meeting. I'll have an opportunity to hopefully get into some film work today to see what our real needs are on our team. Obviously, I didn't spend a lot of time, and shouldn't have, worrying about what was happening here in Hattiesburg last year. I know we had a great team. I know we lost some great pieces to that team. And so what we've got to do now is use last night, to be honest with you, is the benchmark. And everything started moving forward since then. We've got a great plan in place to put, and what we really have to do, what recruiting is about building relationships. It's about building relationships. And it's very difficult to call a player blind at this point. So a lot of these are players that obviously either maybe we had been recruiting for Southeastern Louisiana, okay, which we've cultivated the same recruiting turf that is here. That's a great advantage for us already. But the other thing is we'll be looking for opportunities maybe early on in the transfer portal, different things. We've already begun to do some work, and obviously I'm not in a position to expand on that really any much further, but other than we have a plan, yes, sir.
Coach, you called it a black.
Go ahead.
You called it a black and gold mine. How excited are you to recruit this area back home?
Well, I hope, Jeff, you heard that. Meaning you were in there, right? I hope y'all can feel it. I hope you can feel the excitement and passion that there's one thing to go coach at a job. There's another thing for me personally to coach here. To be able to come home to Hattiesburg, which is home for me, to coach at a school that I love and went to, and to coach an opportunity to get our program to where it happened to be, not because of me when I was playing, but that I was part of and saw that the tremendous impact that had on our overall university, Jeff, is big. And when I say a black, we all, the phrase, a gold mine. When we have a black and gold mine here, we've just got to start selling it like that. We've got to start letting people know what we have here instead of the other way. Let's quit focusing on what we don't have, and let's focus on what we can do to be successful, because we can. There's everything's in place here to be successful. Do you have what an SEC school has? Absolutely not. Do you have to have that to be successful? I know a lot of Power 5 schools that don't win. Just because you have resources, I'm not going to name any here, Jeff. It wouldn't do any good. But I know a lot of Power 5 schools that have all the resources in the world that don't win. So does that yes, certainly does that help? Absolutely. Is that the bottom line to winning? Is having as many resources as a Power 5 school? Absolutely not. We have everything that we need to win here. We've just got to go to work. Is it going to happen overnight, Jeff? It's not. It's not going to happen overnight. We've got to. We're late in the signing period. I'm not making any excuses, but I can tell you this: we're going to start moving forward. It started moving forward last night. I'm excited about getting to work.
Coach, you mentioned Coach Roan joining your staff. Do you know how the rest of the staff's going to play out, and is there any interest in keeping Clarence Weatherspoon?
Well, certainly Clarence Weatherspoon is one of our all-time greats, and he's a friend of mine, and he and I have not had a chance to visit yet. But yeah, is there certainly an interest in speaking with him? Absolutely, and there will be. You mentioned Coach Roan. Coach Roan is one of my longtime assistants. I point him out inside the press conference, and one of our other assistant coaches, I'm proud to say, Coach David Kiefer, has now accepted the job. Let me know this morning at Southeastern Louisiana. So it's always a great thing with somebody that's helped you build your program somewhere. They get an opportunity to be a head coach. So Coach Roan will be here with me. He was here at the press conference. I'm not sure where he is right now. He's not. I don't think he's in here. And one of my other assistants, who I had offered a job. I'm loyal. Part of being on a basketball or staff, a coaching staff, football staff, baseball, doesn't matter, an organization, business, is if you have a successful in that group, your organizational group's tight, they're family oriented, and that's how we are. We're more than just a head coach and two assistants. We work well together. So I hate that I'm losing one of my coaches. He helped me, been with me, Coach David Kiefer, been with me since Jones Junior College, but he's getting an opportunity to coach Division I at Southeastern Louisiana. So but again, knowing that was a possibility, did not wait until last night's phone call to begin thinking about those things. We've got a very short list of assistants, and actually we'll begin looking to fill those positions as soon as this afternoon. And I'll certainly keep y'all posted. Will always be transparency in that.
Jeremy, could you go ahead?
Coach, I'm wondering what the first memory you have of USN basketball is, whether you were a kid going to a game or just what you remember.
The very first memory that I have, and we were young, I was real young. My dad, right over here, is a high school basketball coach at Pick Union. We moved to Hattiesburg when I was 5 years old. I went to kindergarten here on campus, all the way through school at Oak Grove. And my mom and dad always worked here on the university. So naturally, we were basketball people. We were basketball fans. We went to all the sporting events. As I told y'all about going to watch baseball, I'm just a little fella. But going to basketball games. But first thing, I remember when we first went there, it was my very first memories, Daddy, were we weren't very good. I remember that. We seemed to lose a lot, and I would cry, Southern lost, and, I was upset about that. And the other thing that I remember, and I don't say this negatively, there wasn't a lot of interest at that time. You could almost count everybody in the arena, but that's what was so special about Coach Turk taking over, what he did, and then to bring it to where you literally could count less than 100 people in the stands, and maybe the big game was against, Jeremy, no offense, a Delta State or somebody like that, to play in just a decade later, playing Louisville, beating Louisville here in Memphis and all those people. That's really, it's more of instead of an individual memory, it's more of a memory of the great growth that I saw during that time here, that we're going to strive to get back.
Coach, I believe you called this your dream job. Care to elaborate on that?
Jeff, I think it is what it is. I want to, again, I'll say it. If you have an opportunity, you love a place. I have had a very, very rare career. I've never, for whatever reason, been outside of my home area. I've always been driving distance to my mom's red beans and fried chicken, Mom. Greatest cook in the world, right back over there. I've always been close, whether it's at graduating here. So I grew up here in Hattiesburg, graduated from University of Southern Mississippi, played ball. So obviously my love for the school goes without saying. And to have an opportunity to be to come back and be part of it and coach basketball here, that's the greatest thing in the world. It really is. I can't. This is a destination job for Jay Ladner. I can tell you that. Whereas other people may not see it that way. I love the place. I know what it's about, and looking forward to getting it back to its rightful place in the hierarchy of basketball.
Jeremy, this was a quick process. Obviously, yep. Can you take us through how tough it was to get this done in such a short period of time?
I think 7 days ago, I said we wanted to move quickly for obvious reasons, given the timeline, where we are in the calendar. But, so what you set out to do is develop a list and start narrowing that down the best way you can. And so that began on Thursday. And I've spent more hours on the phone over the past 6 days than I ever cared to. I'll tell you that. But it was important to the process and making sure that we had a great understanding of backgrounds of coaches, how they fit for Southern Miss. And so, you work those first few days trying to get that list narrowed down, and then it was an opportunity to get face to face with people and get a real feel across the table for who they were and what they were about. And so then over the last couple of days, that happened pretty quickly.
Did a different feel develop than what you had at Troy? I mean, as soon as you got in, did you realize it was just kind of different?
Yeah, and I'll tell you this, every place is different, but every search is different because of where you are as a program. So in other words, where we are as a program now, after coming off a 20-win season, is very different than where we were as a program 3 or 4 years ago. And so every search is different in that regard. Not only the candidates are involved, but where you are as a program and what's needed at that time. I think it's very important to understand that. And so it became clear what our need was, and I talked about the profile during the press conference. Those were the things we needed. And again, Jay continued to shine, and every time we kind of had a round of interviews, he continued to be right at the top of that list.
Coach, Jesse Finber, WJTV. You mentioned in your introduction, when you're playing Ole Miss coming to the green and line out the door around the block, hours long. Are you guys going to try and schedule more games against Mississippi State, Ole Miss, getting some more in-state games like that, big games, and also, what are you going to do to bring more fans in and get the reunion full?
Well, answer your first question, absolutely. I think we need to be playing Ole Miss. We need to be playing Mississippi State. I would love to play home and home. We'll play them in Jackson. We'll play them on the coast. In fact, at Southeastern Louisiana, we began playing a neutral game with Ole Miss in Jackson last year. Incredible event. So, and I have relationships with both Coach Howland and Coach Davis. So obviously, I don't even, to be honest with you at this point, this is so quick, I'm not even sure what our schedule is at this point. But I handle our scheduling. One of my assistants does handle our scheduling. I do that myself to make sure that it's a schedule that's attractive. But I know that stirs the fan base. It always has. What sport, and those are our in-state rivals. And it's time for us to start standing up and being counted versus Ole Miss and State. So yes, we look forward to playing. I hope that they'll certainly agree. It takes two to tango on that deal. But we have good relationships with our coaching staff, and I would be very positive that we would be able to work something out. That would be attractive. And like I said, I'm really excited about either a home-and-home series possibly, or playing neutral site games at some of the places across the state, which helps also promote our program.
Coach, even 5 years ago, it seems, at least amongst the fans, your name was always out there as a possibility for this, but what makes this timing right for you right now?
Well, a good question, Jeff. It's time. I prepared my entire life to be a Division I basketball coach. Not that was my goal to be a Division I coach. I just wanted to coach basketball. But my entire life has gone to prepare me for this moment. And just coincidentally, it just happened to be my dream job happened to avail itself. And so that's why that this is so special at this time.
Anything you would tell your 1987 self, or vice versa, wish you knew now?
I wish I looked like I did in '87. There's some people. There are so many people that were here today. Some of them I haven't seen since 1987 or '88. But if you were part of that time, that was here at that time, I can't even really explain it. There's Casey Fisher right back there behind us, one of the all-time greats here, one of my teammates, and someone that there's a certain bond when you go through things together that you never really lose. And it's no coincidence to me, and a teaching point for any coach, is the importance of guys that truly care about each other, and that camaraderie, that feeling. We went through good and bad together, lived together, and to have Casey Fisher, Alan Chapman was here earlier, and I'll be honest with you, most of the other players would have been here had it not been such a quick turnaround. Many of them could not get here in time, and especially with the weather. So that's what we have to also do. I think for whatever reason, maybe people just didn't understand our tradition and culture and the history here. We have one, and we have a strong one in across our athletic teams. And I never really realized that as much as I was playing here until I got out coaching in other places, and the reverence that people talk about the old Southern Mississippi, or Mississippi Southern, sometimes they refer to football teams, how tough they were, physical. Our basketball team, that's what I talked to our team about here last night, about how we're going to go about things and what our identity is going to be. So again, I want to thank Casey for being here. Has been a long-time great friend and supporter. Again, one of the all-time greats. For him to come back, make the effort to come here, drive here this morning from Vicksburg, Case, means a lot. I appreciate that.
Coach.
Yes, sir.
MK Turk, he likes to shoot threes, shoot a lot of threes, get out on the break. Is that the kind of offense it's going to be?
Well, we're gonna put our team in the best. Again, I have to assess our talent, but I will say this: last year in the Southland Conference, we set a school record for made threes. So I'm a big proponent of the three-point shooter. And again, you don't get guys like Casey very often. I'm still looking for our next Casey Fisher. But what we have to understand is that a lot of that's going to go to recruiting. I don't really have a great feel yet until I can really see our strengths and weaknesses of our players. Obviously, if we don't have a bunch of guys who can shoot threes, we're not going to shoot a bunch of threes. If we've got a bunch of guys, we can't throw the ball, we can't score inside, we're probably not. We're going to play to our strengths. It's not rocket science. We're going to take what we have and put them in the best position they can be. But now, moving forward, we won't recruit a player, and you can put this in the national media. We will not recruit a player at Southern Miss that doesn't have the ability to shoot. That unless we'll make an exception, unless they happen to be out 7'3" or 7'4". That would be the exception. But all Southern Miss players, we have a very strict recruiting criteria that myself and our assistants follow, and it's almost like checking boxes. First of all, it starts with their character. It starts with their interest in being a student athlete. Because in today's society, in today's climate in NCAA with APR and all these things, they have to be engaged in their schoolwork. They have to be engaged. I get judged on that. You know, our school gets judged, and you lose money, you lose opportunities to play in the postseason. There's a lot of things, and it's much different than it was than when I was playing. So, but back, I don't mean to get off on that tangent. It was important I said that, but a part of our recruiting criteria certainly will be guys that can shoot, and absolutely we're gonna recruit guys. If we don't, I think we have guys. The little bit I know, I think there's some guys on our team that can shoot the basketball. And I think a great yes, we're going to shoot. We intend, if we have those players, to shoot threes. Sorry about that. I got a little bit off kilter there.
About time for about one or two more.
Glenn Dyer, 247 Sports.
Good to see you.
Good to see you, Coach. How's the game evolved to you as a head coach now since '87? How's the game different now?
Shot clock's a little bit shorter. A lot more ball screen action than we ran when we were playing. Coach Turk was and I have to give Casey credit. Casey and John White and Derek Hamilton and Randolph Keys had a lot to do with changing the way that we played. If y'all remember here, Case, and you may have to chime in on this one, but we were a really controlled team. I know when I got here in '84. Flex offense, Coach Turk, we were a possession type team. Obviously, it was evident early on that Coach McInnes and Coach Jones, Coach Moore, they had brought in a whole different stable of horses. And I can still, we used to talk about it, and again, I had the opportunity to listen into a lot of these talks and be part of it, but they were certainly the forefront because of their great talent level. But they got together and called a meeting with Coach and said, Coach, if you will let us go, if you'll let us go, that's right. If you'll loosen up and just let us go, we'll pay you back. And that's a true story, isn't it, Case? And from that point forward, Southern Mississippi basketball took off. So we're going to play fast. We want to play fast, but we're not going to play wild. It's not going to be a blacktop game. We're going to play fast, and there's a misconception that if you play fast in basketball, that you're out of control. Really, it really couldn't be further from the truth. If you play fast in basketball and do it the right way, you have to actually be more disciplined to do that. But that's what we're going to have some time to help implement with our team.
Coach Andrew Abbey, student friends. Have you had a chance to speak with the team, and also when is day one start for you and the team as well?
Well, certainly we're coming up on a holiday, and this weather, I think, has thrown us for a little bit of a loop. And yes, I had an opportunity, and thankful to Jeremy and Jeff last night for getting our team together, and we were able to meet late last night. Very, very brief introductory meeting. Had a chance to meet with our seniors and a few of the individuals that I had actually had an opportunity to develop a relationship through recruiting. But it was very, skim of the surface type meeting. We're starting now. And are you asking when we're going to begin practice? I don't know that, but certainly it'll be when we come back and they return from the holidays before we get a chance to get on the floor. We're ready to go. Some of them that are, we have to kind of get our feet wet a little bit and find out what the schedules and so forth are. As soon as possible.
Before we wrap up, this guy here has mentored a generation of announcers and coaches and basketball players. Talk just a little bit about, what you learned from him about the game of basketball.
Well, I'm coaching because of him. And he didn't want to hear this when I was growing up, but the real reason that I'm in teaching and coaching, and I'm a teacher. Coaches are teachers. Good coaches are teachers. I'm a teacher. I'm proud to say I'm a teacher. I'm a teacher of basketball. But I saw the impact that he had through coaching and through the sport of basketball on other young men's lives, on helping them become successful people. And then I saw the impact that the never-ending relationship, the lasting relationship that he had and still has with his former players. And I simply learned that was the way to do it. And I told our players last night, we're going to have a relationship now, whether you like it or not, for the rest of your life. And I owe my dad all of that. He certainly has formed my philosophy. I've had a lot of people that I've been influenced by in terms of my coaching basketball, but philosophy from when I first started coaching and certainly to right now. But now he's become such a great supporter, and it can't be John, I'm glad you brought that up, because it can't be undervalued, the connection that we have to so many former Southern Miss that has just kind of been left out there. You know, I think it's unacceptable for a guy that's coaching basketball in Jackson who played at Southern Miss that they don't have any connection to us anymore. I've got to rebuild that. And his player, and he gets a good player every 2 or 3 years. That's a Division I player, and he goes to Ole Miss, or maybe he goes to Southeastern Louisiana. You know, because that's happened too. And his coach, maybe he even played here. That's the value of the program that they had when he was here. His great impact on so many basketball coaches. But now those basketball coaches are athletic directors and principals. Some of them even retired. But we can put our hand, he and I've talked about this, we can put our hand on a Southern Miss man in every single junior high and high school, junior college in the state of Mississippi, most in Louisiana, most in Alabama, Florida Panhandle, and up to Memphis. There are Southern Miss people now that we're fixing to go make those connections and get those people getting that highway back, that 20 back south.